So we've got myself, I'm Laura, and Melissa and Lila, and we wanted to talk a little bit about uh, the idea of blocks.
Ooh,
So
This
we're
is
going
a passion project of Melissa,
yes, my jam.
breaking down these barriers.
Yes, they don't exist.
Word,
Blocks, what?
words of wisdom, guys.
So I guess the idea is, when someone says, "Oh, I really think I have a block about this," and Melissa will be like, "No, you don't.
Nope.
Nope. Think about that. I have a block," and then you'd be like, "No."
You're right.
I do.
It's not a vlog. It's a growing experience.
So it's over. Mission accomplished. See, you got it.
It's not. It's just a step forward. A step in expansion. I don't know anymore.
You know everything. You know everything you need to know right now. No, it's hard because I see a lot of people, especially in the spiritual community, and they'll say, "Oh, this, reader told me I have a block in this area in my life," or, I will see something on Facebook where someone is asking for positive vibes while they work out this block, or maybe they're looking for support in whatever way for a block. And I'm just like, yo, why do you think you have one? Like, that's where you need to go.
Well,
like, don't worry about this person here.
I think it's interesting too, though, the idea that, if you continue to invest energy, maybe you think, "Oh, I have I don't know, my foot hurts and this is what's happening," and you keep investing energy into, like, why is my foot hurting? Why is this hurting? My foot is hurting. And it's like you're almost, you're putting your energy towards that thing that's creating the thing that you don't want.
Oh, absolutely. It just reinforces the universe is always willing to work with you and play with you. So if you're saying, "Oh, I have this block in this area of my life," you are reinforcing what the universe is showing you. Again, it's because you're saying, "I have this thing." Now other people are also confirming I have this thing. And now my reality is that I have this thing. But if we recognize that the universe is really just showing us the very thing that we've asked for in that area of blocks, all you have to do is really just say, "You know what? I'm an abundant being just by the fact that I'm existing now at this time and place," and own that and truly believe it. That is where you're going to see a shift in reality.
I love that. I think the other thing is, I don't know, and this came up on our trip too, of like, what is the story that you're telling yourself?
Yes.
Like, are you getting in your own way,
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
I know what we see through our own eyes seems like, oh, this is reality, but like, no, obviously it's not. Like, this is all a dream.
It's all a story. It's all perception, you know? I mean,
That's a good word.
I could sit here and I could do a video and think, "Oh my gosh, I was so all over the place. I didn't make sense," right?
Yep.
And then other people who watch it can say, "Oh, it was exactly as it needed to be." And I'm like, did we watch the same thing? Really, it's where I'm coming from shows me the areas within myself that I need to work on, because clearly other people aren't seeing what I'm seeing. So using that as a reflective tool to check in with the self and to say, okay, I have to work on this area here.
So I remember this time that I was going on a plane and there was this huge storm and I was very scared, and then this person started talking to me and we were laughing because the person who was speaking before we went in was making some jokes about the weather. And I'm like, I'm not laughing at that joke. I'm actually scared of going on the plane while there's this storm going outside. So we kind of click and we just talk a little bit and we went in the plane and we start flying, and that plane is shaking so much, and I'm so scared, and I start meditating. That's how I kept my balance throughout the like flight. And finally he came to check up on me once, even like but I was like so into the meditation that I didn't like see him. So when the we land perfectly fine, and he comes to me and he's talking to me like, how was it? I'm like, oh my god, that was like the worst ride ever, I'm saying. And he's like, what? No, it was not. It was so smooth. Like there was barely no turbulence. And I'm like, bro, we were not in the same plane. So it's about how you perceive it, like the story. Like I was like so going for the fact that there was gonna be turbulence, it was gonna be hard, I was really gonna feel it. And he was like, it's gonna be okay. So I'm really not gonna.
Not right now. Shut the door, okay? We're filming. You can show us later.
I made this dog, and his name is Linda.
Perfect. Thank you, buddy.
We had a visitor.
We had a visitor and a craft.
What was the craft?
I'm not really sure, but it had to do with feathers, and I think it had to do with his ancestor wand that I'm sure we will be discussing on another video.
More to come. Just putting some, spoilers out there.
More to come.
I think it's interesting what you were saying about the plane, though. Of like, so for me, what that reminded me of was, the concept of how you view things, like, whether you view it as like good or bad, or, like the mind wants to sort of categorize these things, and how do you shift it so that, you're flipping the perspective. Like, obviously, if something challenging is happening to you, like typically there's a larger reason for it, you know what I mean? Like, and, at the moment you're probably just like, WTF, like what is happening? And, 2 years later, you're like, okay, I totally needed that. That was like all in perspective,
You just reminded me of something. It's so true. It's so true. So yesterday, the kids are having their swim lesson, and Kenny has graduated to the part where he has to jump in the pool. Why does he have to do this? Because he has to show that he has the tools in order to save himself if he were to fall. So he's on the edge and he's getting ready, and his toes are curling around the edge of the pool, and he's like psyching himself up. Finally, he wouldn't do it, and we had to throw him in. And at the end, he goes, "Thank you so much for throwing me in," because it was what his perception of what was going to happen was totally not what he experienced. And so he was sitting there struggling and going through the motions in his mind of what this really was going to play out as. And what happened was he was able to see, wow, I went in and I have the tools in order to save myself.
Yeah.
So it really is all about perception and the story that we're telling ourselves. He was never going to jump in because the story he was telling himself wasn't one where he had the tools.
Yes.
That's interesting, because that, for me, that brings up like the whole idea of expectations. Like, what kinds of expectations do we have about something that's happening? He has left. Like, just, I don't know. I think there's a lot of not only, not living in like the present or the future, the past or the future.
Living in the present, living in the future.
Where are we? Are we at Earth?
Are you here? Are you?
What is reality?
Where are you living?
Oh shoot. No, but it just like a couple things, like just the idea of, the expectations that we have around something that we're going to do, and how, that can set us up for something that may be challenging down the road if we have like these very concrete expectations about something. The other thing was, like actually came up recently in a session too, like this whole like construct that we are conditioned to live in of having us continue to focus on the future or focus on the past instead of embracing the present moment that is so important, and like the possibility and of the present moment.
Oh, that's another one of my favorite things, the now moment. So this is a now moment.
Yep.
And this is another now moment.
Wait, is this another now
This
moment?
is another now moment. By doing that, it really helps me to pay attention to what's happening literally right now and saying, okay, I'm never going to get this now moment back ever. What is it that I want to do? You have many choices. What imprint do you want to leave on that now moment for other people? What is it that you can draw from that now moment to better yourself? So I always really try to do that. And I play little tricks like with my husband or with my kids about, oh, this is the now moment, just to help them kind of pay attention to what's going on in the world around them, especially the kids, because they're all in their phones or in their iPads. And it's so easy for them to be sucked into this other world that isn't really real. I mean, this one isn't really either, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
This is the one where they chose to have this experience by getting into the iPad. They're choosing to have a different experience within the experience, and that's not what they need to focus on. So focusing on the now for sure is definitely another one of my favorite things.
Yeah, that brings up, so definitely, because I feel like even with your kids, like if they're, having a hard day or whatever the case might be, like coming back to the present moment and like actually like being like, I'm okay right now. Like, when your mind starts taking over of like, all the things are happening. And then like when you can remove yourself from it and become, were you the one that told me this? Like become an observer?
Yeah.
Okay. That's smart advice, I think. Of just, seeing it through a different perspective of just observing the situation. I think that's a really interesting way to look at it when you're, feeling like you're going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think for kids too, it's just important to, for them to know that they have a place where they can process, especially the kids now. Kids now are just leaps and bounds ahead of where like I was when I was a kid. And so just giving them a safe place where they can process and authentically be themselves and deal with the gifts that they have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole other video.
It's a, yeah.
Kids, just in general, like the new generations coming, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you gonna post it?
I can.
I think she's been feeling it.
Yeah.
I'm just used when I see cards. I'm just used to like, mix. Like how you say that? Shuffling. But I can pull one.
Yeah, do it. So, for everyone watching, Lila's an absolutely amazing. What do you call your readings that you do for people?
Like the channel or the reading itself?
Well, that's the thing. So when you do your readings, it's so different than any other like tarot card reading that I've ever experienced because you're just like channeling the whole time and it's just beautiful and gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, so I call it the 5D tarot.
Oh, that's a good.
Because it's like a fine-tuning tool to adjust our energies or vibes or like things that just needs a little adjustment in the now moment.
Yes.
As we're moving forward. Because as we're moving forward, there's not a set path. It's just a bunch of possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be the most aligned you can be in that sense as you are choosing, as you are moving. So we're just tuning you in to chill right now, to be aligned right now, and then you decide where you go with that. So I guess that's what I'm doing. Makes total sense what I'm doing.
It does. I had a reading from her today and it was phenomenal and it was so spot on. It was like, just really a culmination of like my last few days, and then a few things that I had discussed with her like super early, just like, I don't know, she's so gifted. So
You guys are just laughing.
I think you should tell the message that you're getting right now out of this card.
So earlier today, I had shared with Lila that I felt compelled to have a passport, not really having a destination in mind, but just that I needed to be on the move. I needed to be going places. Not really even sure what the objective is. It's just a matter of I'm supposed to be going somewhere. And I know that the three of us together, we have for sure been feeling that. So for me, I will say the passport. But what this card is saying is, where are you journeying to? So I think, or where are you being called to journey? So I really just feel like that is a total validation, which is a thing that us humans with 3D life really love to have. And by the way, thank you for making me do this.
What I do the readings, guys, I just pull the cards and I let Melissa give them messages.
So we do it. No,
this is what happens.
it's all good. No,
but
really,
I take the credit.
Yeah, she does. No, so really, I just feel like we need to be doing it. You know, the fact that we're talking about moving to another state, honoring that.
Yes.
The fact that I need to have this passport, this idea is clearly more than just an idea. And about you, I know there's places that you've been wanting to travel to and explore and check out. So I think this card is just a testament to that. Oh, and together we talked about going to Sedona for whatever that experience is. So I really feel like that has to happen.
Yes, and as you journey, travel, you connect with different energies. You leave your energetic imprint wherever you're going, and you're also taking from where you're going and bringing it with you. So as we are like moving right now, everyone is moving right now. Everyone is being called to move.
It's like a shuffle.
Yes. Because we're creating this network, and there's these special points where energy is being centered, and we're going to those points, and we're actually expanding those as we're making the transition.
You know, Laura, this makes me think about what came up in the channeling recently, and I know we're going to do a video about it specifically, but with the Earth Grid, and, you know, going to these places and consciously setting an intention to heal the energy in that specific place. What do you think about that?
No, should we just, I mean, we're on it. We could go in. Unless
We're on.
Huh?
We're on it. We're on it. We can do it if you want.
I mean, I do, because I think it's, you know, you guys are touching on a really important point that, you know, not only is it time, I feel like there's this draw for people in the spiritual community to come together and unite, but I also think that there's like a huge draw of like going to these places and energetically like feeling how it feels there, and taking, you know, whether it's, you know, balancing the energy in that location. I mean, obviously, like if you're going somewhere and you're drawn to go somewhere, there's a reason, there's a larger reason than just, you know, I want to go on vacation. Like your soul already knows, you know? I mean,
absolutely. I agree 100%. Like I can tell you this whole idea to have a passport is not something that is consciously like my everyday life. It is not on my radar. It is honestly like, sure, would it be cool? Yeah, but it's not like my priority. But the fact that I feel like I have to have it, and then, you know, cards like this come up, it's like, clearly this is a bigger picture situation. You know, I'm literally just being I don't know, something else is driving this vehicle. Let's go there. Something else is driving this vehicle. Yeah, so do you want to get into the channel grid info?
I feel like you probably remember more than I do, but I will share the bits that I know just like from myself and my personal experience too.
Do you want to share how we led up, like what led up to the channeling? Do you remember?
No.
Jeez, y'all.
Were you there, Laura?
Where did you go? No, so we were just having like these moments where we were just like, oh my gosh, the energy's super thick. Like, you know, we're seriously, for me, it felt like all systems were down, you know?
Yeah.
My spiritual connection felt like it was a real challenge. I almost, not that I felt abandoned, but that they were just being really quiet. And I was left to process all of this stuff that kept coming up. And I know you were having some difficulty as well, integrating between like everyday life and work life and spiritual life and just, you know, some of your own stuff. And
I think that day too, like, so not only I think the energy from Mount Shasta, like reintegrating back into life from that was, you know, like so hard to do that, but yeah, that day was interesting because I had just gotten done with a session, and so you know, for the so all of us here are QHHT practitioners, by the way, but when you have um, when you have a really long session with someone, you know, you have this melding of energy that's happening with them. And so, you know, depending on what happens, anyway, my session was phenomenal. And I was like so blissed out afterward that I was just like, and I don't even know, like we were just talking on the phone. I wasn't even like planning to do the channel, but then it was like, you know, they started coming through. So we just went in. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
you cut out there for a minute.
Oh, I did. Maybe that was them.
Maybe.
Totally them. Totally them.
So when it happened, also, it was kind of late at night. And, you know, to be honest with you, I was like moments away from going to sleep. And you were like, they're wanting to come through. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah. Just because it felt like it was super intentional. The fact that, you know, the stuff that you had come out in your session, and then the fact that we were having this discussion, and then suddenly they're wanting to step in, you know, clearly that's for a reason, you know, so it felt very much like, all right, we need to honor this. So you went in pretty quick too, I feel like. It was like as soon as you were just ready, like they were there. And so one thing that was super crazy was I felt like I needed to record it in some way, but we did it on the phone.
Yeah, we normally do it through video. It's much easier that way.
Right. And so literally I'm transcribing. I'm like, oh, so difficult. So anyway, I have the notes of,
Chill. Wait, what?
So I have like the first section of what they said. Do you want me to read that?
Yeah, let's do it. And then we can like just, you know, round it out however it goes.
Okay. So it says, we are here existing with you now. We would like to say a few words about where you both are at. Are you ready? And then I was like, do I really answer this? And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. Okay. And then so they go on to say, you are being trained not only in your dream state, but in your wake state as well. Your perception of reality is changing.
Oh,
So,
yeah, that's a big one. I know
so
a lot of people are feeling that right now.
yes, I know so many people, well, myself, let me just talk about myself real quick, because, you know, I started seeing so many different things. I am being able to see these portals. I am able to see these balls of energy. I'm seeing beings. I'm even seeing moments where I'm like, oh, did I really just think that I saw a silhouette of this being by my bathroom. No, I don't want to see you right now. Like, things are getting to a point where it is speeding up.
Mm-hmm.
The time of where we were and to where we are heading, we are closer to where we are heading than where we were. So I'm really just feeling like, like things are coming down. Like the barriers from our world into theirs is just, it's almost non-existent at this point.
Yeah.
So I think it's.
So, oh.
What did you say?
She said it's almost unbound.
Did you just pull that?
It's the next card. And so also other people are talking about, in my group, and I don't have that many people in my Facebook group, but everyone's talking about super vivid dreams, an uptick in visuals, an uptick in intuition. And so I really think it doesn't matter what it is specifically. It's just whatever it means to you. Knowing that your reality is changing, the way that we have been conditioned to believe what reality is changing. And so that was a wonderful, I got major goosebumps.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful, reassuring thing that, to know we're not alone in this.
And those, like, I don't know why, but like those who wants to see these beings, I don't know what I'm saying this right now, but I'm just gonna go with it.
Go with it.
And you say I cannot see that. That's not happening for me right now. We go back for full circle to the blockages that you think you have a blockage that you're not there yet.
Yep.
But the things with like seeing beings and seeing this is like they will show you when you are ready for it. And you might say sometimes, well, I'm ready for it. And if it's like light outside, there's people, there's noise, I'm ready for it. But when it's quiet, when your mind is like there's no one around you and fears start crippling, are you really ready for it? Or so I think it's like she just said, like, she tells them, oh, don't show yourself just yet, not right now. And I think I do that a lot too, like when I know, like when I feel them, I'm like, can you just just no. Let's just take more time.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, I'm ready. And then the night falls, I'm alone, there's no noise, it's like 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's the time, and then I'm like, no, wait, no. Turn the lights on. No. So I think it's something that it's gonna happen for you guys, for everyone, because
Right.
it's the veil that's going away, the vibrations, raising of the vibrations. It's just,
Right.
but you just have to, you're gonna be ready for it when it happens.
So the things that I've heard is that essentially like the concept of like what we perceive as our reality is like dissolving. And that there's so many other opportunities, like, we know now we're in 4D heading to 5D and, getting to that place. And so, but it's like, there's so much more opportunity for us. So many more abilities that we have, that we didn't have before. That are options for us, like things that we probably, I don't know if like, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I don't know if like levitation and like more of that is going to be able to come through.
It's definitely gonna come
It
through.
definitely is.
Look at those first people levitating.
Yeah.
And I have a couple coaching clients, and they are talking about telepathy and how this is increased for them. One in particular is really at the very beginning of waking, and what they know as reality is really being shaken up. To go from living a life of work and bills and home and work and and then to go and have your reality or life as you know it completely shift. It's difficult. So wherever you are in that, find a group for sure and talk to people. But so many people are experiencing these things.
Yeah.
Just find your flock. Seriously, just find who they are, and share what's happening to you, because I can assure you there are people that are going to understand.
I think there's like a tipping point. Things are shifting. Like, I feel like for the longest time, right? I don't know if you guys felt this way growing up. Like, I don't belong here. Felt lonely. Felt, like, where are people that I feel like I can actually talk to? And that's like so different now, and I love it. And I totally agree. Like, I think people are more than ever looking for real people to have conversations with, like real raw conversations. Like, I think it's interesting how many people are like, I do not want to have a shallow conversation, like a surface level conversation with anyone anymore.
Same.
Right?
So good.
Because it's like, I mean, this is who we are, right? Like, why can't we talk about it? Why can't we be open and find our soul family that gets us, and just build that.
Absolutely. So the next part of this channeling that they said was, you are asking for direction of what to talk about. And I don't even know if consciously in the conversation that we were having we asked for it, but I know that it had been talked about, like, oh, what are we going to talk? Oh, well, let's just get together and see where it goes. So what was so amazing was they were like, we want to give it to you now. So we're taking this opportunity. You want to know, we're going to give it to you now.
Yep.
So they said you should talk about the Earth grid, that we both have missions tied to this Earth grid, and that you, the one that was channeling, is very important, and she doesn't fully recognize what her mission is yet. So Earth grid, do you want to talk about that before I move on a little bit?
I think it would be good. So essentially, like, well, there's different trains of thought. The Earth grid, I've also heard it referred to as like the Christ consciousness grid. I've heard that the ley lines of the Earth that are, connected to the Earth grid. I'm not sure if it's exactly one and the same, but essentially, the ley lines go through the major energy centers of the Earth, and that there's essentially this energetic grid that forms I see it as like a light grid, as almost like a mesh around the Earth. And for me, I know when I go in and do like the vortex meditation that I do every morning, I get to a place where they show me the Earth grid, and it's like, if there's a disturbance, it'll look like it's pushed out really far, like that node of the grid. And so I just sort of send energy to wherever those raised pieces are, to sort of like smooth it out. Yeah.
And how do you do that? Because it's really easy, right?
Well, I don't know, it's like a visualization. So I see it in my third eye, and I just sort of like, like from my heart space, I send like healing energy, almost like, like when you do energy healing, that kind of energy, just like, but a little bit more directed, and just send it to that location. And then as I send it, it's like, I can see in my third eye that it like goes down, gets smoother.
Okay. So if somebody hasn't really worked on their third eye yet, but they want to send energy, healing energy to the grid, would it be as easy as just setting the intention, do you think? Yeah. I know the answer for this, but there might be some people that don't even know what the grid is.
Yeah, no, totally. As you were talking about that, I do think that they started prompting me with a couple things to mention. So, and we went back and forth for a second of like, should I just channel this? But they're like, no, you can do it. So So essentially what people can do is visualize, like from heart space, the earth, just visualize the earth sort of coming out from heart space and send your heart space energy to it. So even if you don't have that connection with your third eye, it's literally just a visualization that everyone can do, and just visualize the earth in front of you and just send healing energy to it.
Perfect.
Like, I mean, Mother Earth, goodness gracious, like what a beautiful sentient being. You give her some love too.
Definitely. So in the channeling that aren't able to visualize in the third eye yet, for sure keep working on it because it will come. But just to imagine that there is an invisible net that exists across space and time, and just also know that if you're tapping into that energy, you are able to receive and return anything that connection already has. So for example, when we went to Mount Shasta, it is such a magical place. I received a download the other day, and I'm just going to share that because I feel like it might help.
Yeah.
So imagine Mount Shasta as, obviously it's a mountain, it's magical, and it is sitting and connected to Gaia, Mother Earth. And so because of the two places in its existence, it is energetically connected. Now, if you go to that place, or you sit quietly with the intention that you're in your mind going to that place, and you tap into that connection, you are a pigtail, you are an attachment, which means you have access to anything that Mount Shasta and Gaia has to offer at that particular place, which means if you send your energy there, it is going to be received in the most amazing way. And you can also find out what that place or that connection needs. So you can do that with anything, but in terms of the earth grid, that would be a really beautiful way to access the earth grid and to find out where its places that it needs help, if you can't visualize it. So I hope that made sense, but I think I articulated that right.
Yeah.
The other thing too is from the other perspective, like if you wanted to tap into Mount Shasta's energy, but you have not been there, you can absolutely do that. You don't need to physically be there either because it's all connected, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can do this with any place.
No, so
Any place. So when we had the fires in the rainforest, and light workers and way showers were sending love and energy. It's the same way. It can be in any place on earth. Ultimately, though, the importance of the earth grid is that, and this came out in one of your earlier channelings, Laura, is that we are the ones responsible for how quickly we reach 5D.
mm-hmm.
And so as important as it is to, learn and heal from our stories, it's more important to get this grid to where it needs to be. And so whenever you have a moment, just checking with it. So it's consciousness. It has its own heartbeat. So just with that and saying, what do you need from me today? What can I offer you?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I think that is something, how bad do we want to get to 5D, guys?
Yeah. And I think, so a couple of things on that. Okay, so the whole, I guess,
our energy is crazy. Our energy is like crazy right now. I am burning up from the inside out. Like,
yes,
I'm burning up. Like, I'm having like trouble just staying here. I'm like, yes,
sucking down my water.
I'm here with you.
So, the thing so when we did that channeling of, of 5D, like from 4D moving to 5D, the big thing with them was like, hey, this is all empowering yourselves as a collective right here on this planet to come together, not only and find your soul family, but, every one of us has the complete capacity to help this situation and get us there. Yeah, it's all within our realm to define how quickly we get there. And I was like,
it's so exciting to know that we have the power. We have the power. Like, it's us.
I got the power.
and it was so interesting because when we were doing the channeling, it was like, oh, like not like we're not helping you guys, like we're totally helping you, but it's like it's part of our mission to do it for ourselves. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, the Earth grid is not just about the Earth. It's like universal, like universes. It impacts so much more than just Earth. So it's like I know you're visualizing one planet, but it's impacting everything. And other, you know, I mean, who knows? It could be like other dimensions, timelines. I have no idea. We're still learning, I think, a little bit about it, but you know, I think it's just important to note that it's not just like our little microcosm of reality.
Absolutely. I mean, there's multiple layers within this universe, you know? And so, yes, it affects everything. The light behind you is going nuts.
I know, it's sunny here. It hasn't been sunny all day. I'm so excited. Yeah. They're like, you're talking about the Earth grid. Give her sun. Okay.
No, it's like, give me that energy, and I'm like burning up here.
I know, I'm dying.
And it's not hot.
It's not that hot, but I'm really hot right
Oh,
yeah.
So the other thing, and you might get to this, but like I do remember this bit that like essentially everyone's energy impacts the grid, right?
Yes. So, oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, so what I was going to say is that, you know, if someone is, because this came out in the channeling, if someone is, you know, operating from a place of low vibration, you know, and the vibration of the collective on the planet is of a lower vibration, right? So if maybe it's the scales are like this and up here is the lower vibration and there's not enough, you know, high vibe happening, that the Earth grid adjusts and it calibrates to the frequency that we are giving off as a collective. And so if everyone just assumes, well, oh, I'm having a crap day, you know, everybody else is going to get my end. Well, no, because the scales haven't tipped. So we really need to pay attention to what our vibration is. We need to take responsibility for that and send every ounce of positive that we have to the grid to get it to rise to where it needs to be, because it's going to react to us. And, you know, if there, of course, are things that are outside of our control, but what we really need is for the scales to tip. We need to get to that point where when the Earth is recovering from an event that is or outside of our control, once it rebounds and recalibrates to the frequency that we are providing for it, ooh, I'm getting goosebumps. It's just going to be, it's going to be what we need. So however there's like some funny stuff going on behind you. But just whatever in whatever way you feel like, you know, you can help or send positive healing intention to the grid, that ultimately is what is going to help us get to where we want to go. Yeah. Goosebumpy.
So I think it goes back to like how we all have choices, right? Of how to respond to things that are happening to us in our daily lives, and that those choices, you know, where we dip, whether we, you know, decide to stay high vibe or not, impact a much larger scale. It's not just us, right?
Also, one of the things I think is interesting is like we're being called to go to like these different places, but like not only physically, there's some places that are calling you energetically that you should go energetically, and there are other places that are actually calling your physicality. So I think it's as you become more aware of where is your vibration, what it's calling, and you connect more with the grid, you know whether you have to actually move your physical body or you can just go there with your energetic body. For
Yeah.
example, Egypt for me, it's been calling me, but not in that way of going to Egypt, but it's been definitely calling me energetically, and I'm tapping into that energy a lot. But for example, Chile and Peru are definitely calling my body there. So it's interesting.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you did that. And I was just showing the card because it goes right back to this. Where are you being called to journey to? And also checking in with the self to say, okay, like you said, is it my energetic body or is it my physical body?
Yep.
And so to go along with that, they in the channeling, so they talked about correcting the energy someplace, and this could be anywhere that you feel that there's an imbalance. So if it's a place that energetically you are feeling drawn to, and something has occurred there, you know, really just setting that intention and mentally sending the energy there is going to make an impact. It's going to make a difference. Sometimes there is physical repairing that needs to happen. And then I remembered I asked, you know, is that something that can be done in a human existence? And so while we may not physically, you know, tangibly be able to repair it, there are things that we can do in a different way. Of course, going to that location, setting that intention. Some people are feeling called to lay crystals on specific energy points on the earth. All of that is going to have a difference. So they also talked about there are many portals that are still active, and you know, of course, we've got Mount Shasta and things like that. If you're feeling a need to go there, absolutely. They said that it is essentially the work that we should share with everyone, and that it is connected across the planet, that the Earth grid has its own consciousness. It is a sentient being, and it is influenced by the consciousness of humanity. And so again, it's really just, you know, being mindful of where we're at in our own vibration and our own frequency and what our intentions are, and it's going to respond to us.
So I think that's something that we're still diving into of like, so there's a relationship between the portals and the ley lines and the grid that we're
Right.
still trying to sort of like decouple, figure out what that means exactly. And there's also some relationship to the pyramids, that there's more than we know, that, you know, are buried or under ice. That also somehow relate to the portals. The other thing, as you were talking about, you know, Mother Earth. So one thing that I really like to do when I ground, I always imagine like an energetic cord, and I like take it and I just like wrap it around like the center of the earth, and then I ask if Mother Gaia would be willing to let me breathe in some of her amazing energy. And normally, very nice. Well, every time she's always said yes, but I always ask. But you guys should try it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's like, like that. You know, like the dirt, like the smell of dirt after rain. It's like that. I don't know. That's how I feel. Anyway, I just felt like I should say that for people that like want to give back and send her, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's so beautiful, Laura. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, you should have Kenny try it too, because it's like it's really nice.
Yeah, I definitely will. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. So there was a little bit more that they talked about. They said that it's important that the energy is flowing freely. So when there's a disruption, the energy responds to it and compensates for it, which, you know, when you were talking about like the bulging areas, like that is a really great description. They also said ideally it would be very important to heal the grid so that there are no disturbances, but we're not at that point yet. So I'm taking that to mean, you know, and this is just my very quick analysis of it. I haven't really gotten into this yet since, you know, the channeling happened. But there's so many things in the world that are occurring, like I said, that are outside of our control. And obviously those things, you know, establishments need to fall and things need to break down in order for them to be rebuilt in the proper fashion. And so I kind of feel like that's what that might be talking about. They said that so many people do not even know that this earth grid exists. And so ultimately, you know, that was one of the most important things that they wanted us to talk about, just because, you know, it's something that everyone has the power to work with, and everyone is going to make a difference.
No, that makes so much sense. What else should we talk about on that?
I feel like we could just talk all day about this.
Well, it's funny about the energetic grids, because if you see, or the ley lines, if you look for a picture of the internet connections of the earth, like how information goes, it will literally show you a grid, and you can Google it and find it, so you have an idea how it's gonna picture. And there are places where there's more connections, more like cables, fiber transmitting energy, where it's like the energy, like you can see it brighter, and there's like spots that it accumulates, centers, and it's kind of like that. It's just kind of like that 3D representation, and it's really the 3D representation, because what it's doing is transmitting like information and connecting, which is, yeah. So I think that would help for visualization.
Absolutely. And it's also super important. It's really just about your intention, you know?
Isn't it?
You can't screw it up unless unless you're like, oh, I'm not going to do it today. Well, maybe you should have. No. But I mean, really, if your intention is to send energy, there's no hard and fast way to have to do this properly. You know, if you're operating from your heart space and my intention is to send love and healing to the earth grid, it's going to make an impact. So it's really just as easy as that.
So good.
So good.
All right. Do you have anything else that we should talk through?
I don't know. What do you feel like?
Yeah, I feel like this was like, we got our message out about the earth grid. I think that was like the most important right now.
Right.
Yeah, it also it like build up to it, with start with blockages, journeying, grids.
Yeah, it honestly, it all goes. It all flows for sure. Acknowledging there's no blockage.
Right. And I think it's so nice too, like, so for people watching this, you know, geographically, we don't live in the same area, but it just happened that, you know, Lila was going to be in Orlando, so we took the opportunity to do this video, and, you know, more to come. I think it'll be really cool to bring other people on and, like, just really, you know, share what we're getting as far as channeling is concerned. And, you know, it's really meant to just be completely informal, whatever comes through, and, like, yeah, get the message out is the biggest thing, you know?
Absolutely. I'm super excited. You know, there was like no apprehension from me, maybe from this one over here, but she did totally perfect.
Well, I was not expecting it. We were just having a call, and then all of a sudden it was like, "Are you ready to record?" I'm like, "I'm ready to record."
I love
What?
we didn't even ask you. We're like, hey, we're gonna start recording now.
And okay, go.
Okay,
So
cool.
good.
Well, have so much fun, you guys.
Yes.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.